In the bottom right, playing as Tenri, we have Miki versus Destroyer of Doom playing Nuru. Interesting. Now this is game 3. They did not leave the first 2 games open. I believe both of these players are like a bit newer to the community. So
Yeah, Destroyer of Doom has been grinding ranked a bit, though.
yeah, but you know, I guess there are some like customs in the community, things like uh people like leave replays open and like knowing that process, and it's just like a mindset people get into. So if you're newer to the community, like you might not always think to uh like do that. So but in this case we are seeing them playing at game 3. Destroyer of Doom did remember to keep it open for this, so we get to experience game 3. And what are we seeing in game 3 so far? So Tenri's healed up, ready to knock down that central village. And Nuru's going to be doing the same. She's going to be getting quite a bit of groove, sitting on 53%.
Yeah, they're both playing pretty classy so far. Not really challenging each other too much. Just kind of doing their own thing on their own sides of the map. um, say it's pretty even so far. Maybe the corner villages have some thing to be said about them, but really it's even at this point, I think.
Yeah, I would say Mickey's being a bit more defensive in their play. In terms of like their army setup, like they have a harpy for defense instead of that second knight. The Destroyer of Doom, they're going to be able to, you know, push quite aggressively. And ooh, wow, that sword is looking pretty vulnerable. And Nuru with Groove, she's actually going to be able to get a lot of value out of that this turn.
I want to see Destroyer of Doom just like, you know, nonchalantly set up a night crit on the HQ and then save up the money.
I mean, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. One knight is a little bit out of position for that right now. And, oh right, yeah, Mickey is forced to use all of their units to defend here. Tenri is also quite a bit out of position. She doesn't quite have Groove yet, which is very frustrating.
Hmm.
And Destroyer of Doom has so many knights.
Yeah, he got the memo that you know, knights are pretty good.
Yeah. On this map. Yeah, and oh actually, with Nuru Groove up against Tenri, all of these knights are going to be such a huge threat to her. Especially, funnily enough, that weak knight is actually going to be a big threat as well, because that can do knight crit suicide onto the commander. Not in this position anymore, but alright, we're gonna see. Destroyer Doom I think is actually set up in a good position just to be aggressive this turn. Gonna see a lot of
Yeah,
things get killed.
I think like all the knights are really paying off right now. He's just getting villages and units left and right now. It's
Yeah.
reached the point where he can, like, he doesn't have to think too much. He just sends knights wherever they can have a good target, and because he has knights everywhere, he hits everywhere at the same time. When you're playing like that, the only thing you have to watch out for is the enemy doing a big push with like their entire army somewhere, which could happen with that golem from Miki. Uh, so we'll see how that goes. Did he use Groove to kill a knight? Hmm, they're taking quite a bit of that army damage, right? Because their army is so spread out, and Miki's sort of getting closer to the HQ, so Destroyer of Doom gonna have to watch out a little bit, but you know, he doesn't have to send back everything, he just has to send back enough to defend. So
Yeah.
this knight, you know, still very aggressive decapped. I think that's the first time I've seen this village decapped.
Yeah, normally the game's kind of over at that point, but I mean the knight's still a target, and it's just gonna go for it. And ooh, now we see Tenry's groove up. And Miki is actually in a position where they can push. And ooh, gets a knight hit on the stronghold, so not the best, but
So
definitely
that puts a ton of pressure with Tenri Groove up.
that is
Destroyer of
true.
Doom's gonna have to have a perfect defense this next turn.
Yeah, and they're doing a good job so far. Lots of damage coming in. Ooh, lots of mage heal coming in. They had a ton of money banked up as well, so pop goes that golem. And oh, the knight dies as well. And they don't really actually have enough to push through this. This is a big chunk of army. This knight in the bottom left is just causing absolute havoc. Running around critting
Yeah.
every village.
Don't think this push can continue anymore.
Oh, are we gonna see a lethal attempt?
Hmm, not sure.
Alright, knight coming in for just a kill on a dog. Ooh, that's not good. And yeah, I think they realized that they cannot win this game. I like the idea of the push, but Destroyer of Doom just had the perfect setup to defend against it.
Yeah, I think his march towards the HQ was a little too slow and predictable, so
Yeah, and like they didn't have a mage to back up the push. So when you go for a big push like that with a golem in front, you really just want to be able to like drop mage heal on it whenever it's done its big attack.
that's true. Like, because I think the golem started its turn at around 80%, and that extra 20% makes a big difference in it living or dying. Like, if the same actions happen and like the golem is left on 20%, there's probably lethal on Nuru next turn. But I mean, of course, Destroyer of Doom would most likely do different moves, but
Yeah, and it was actually I think the golem had a 7 on it, health wise. So yeah, it was even a little bit below like 80. So yeah, not ideal at all if you're trying to push in for a lethal. You really want that golem to be able to be tanky enough to survive. And I mean also credit to, like that knight in the bottom left was doing a ton of really good work. Like it was decapping
it
villages, it
was
was keeping stuff busy.
yeah, it was left unchecked for you know
And that
its entire time, I guess.
yeah, and it doing that means that, you know, you can't really just pull back from that push if it's like not looking so good because you're behind on economy because like your opponent just has this
Yeah,
one unit like ravaging your income.
I think Miki did understand the game state quite well in that if this push fails, he's gonna lose. And I think like the idea of just sending the knight to hit the HQ was really good. But you know, it- it's a good idea, but the execution of how it happened is that Destroyer of Doom was ready to defend even against Tenri Groove. So really, nothing much to be done more.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the alternative is you just hold Tenri Groove, use it to threaten lethal, and try and like force out a longer game. But
But yeah,
Destroyer of Doom, this I've noticed there's this trend of players recently who just build it really heavy on the night count and like play that to their advantage. And I think we're gonna see more of that coming in for Groove of War 7 as well. So I'm excited. Knights are a heist. Like you have to be pretty good to use knights very well. Like you can of course be the person that just spams knights and is just like I have big heavy knight unit. Like you know you're playing Advanced Wars and you're just building tanks. Uh, but being very good, like setting up the crits, understanding like positioning, that's like not easy to do, and it takes quite a bit of like experience on each map and just general good game sense to be good at. So
yeah. I think when we're gonna see it, I think this is probably the baseline for competitive is like first how good are you with knights, and then the second step is how good are you against knights.
Yeah. And it's hard to be good against them. There aren't that
Yeah,
many units to
because
fight up like toe to toe with knights.
like
So
every knight counter has a major downside.
yeah,
Like the spears are super slow, and like you forfeit a ton of pressure by building them. Harpies are like a big gold investment that really falls off very hard once mages are out. So yeah, there's a commanders. You only have one, and you can't really afford to lose it.
yeah,
So so even golem has can be a little troublesome to get out against knights because they have the same problem as spears. Like they're a bit slow, but they can't go in transports and they're expensive. So really they're slow. They may be like have more movement than spears, but because you have to save up money to build one, usually it takes around the same amount of time before they're active. So yeah, knight's pretty good.
yeah. And as Chris is putting it in chat, counting to 6 is hard. Like the amount of people who like just place their knight one square off, and like you're trying to like cover as many tiles with crit options as well. So
Yeah, what I usually do in map prep is I just try to place knights a bit everywhere, and then I take mental notes of these squares are really good.
yeah.
Like they set up crits on two villages and one front at the same time. You should remember that.
Okay, well that's Destroyer of Doom through the Groove of War 7. They are the last player to qualify. We will be getting the bracket up for that. I'll probably be doing that tomorrow as well. I think tomorrow is just going to be a lot of tournament prep stuff. Getting out the event page put together and all that. It's actually pretty much complete. I just need to invite players. We need to finalize the map list, which is probably going to be the next couple days. Um, so the event page will be up before the map list is finalized. But yeah. Anyway, we're gonna go into some map testing actually. So